So everybody's talking about Luigi and what happened, okay, when he offed the CEO, right? Well, y'all, that thing reminded me of a poem I wrote in my book of poetry titled Verse. And I can get kind of deep with my poetry, but I had two letters written. And when did I write this book? I wrote this book back in 2020, right? And published it and all, okay? And I'd written two letters, okay? Because I felt like I needed to write a letter to them, okay? I wrote a letter to African slave traders and I wrote a letter to European slave traders, okay? Now, the reason I wrote a letter to those two, because those were the ones who impacted my forefathers' life the most, okay? Now, y'all, when I say slave traders, I'm talking about slave traders. That was what they did, okay? I'm not talking about the entire population of people. I'm talking about slave traders, okay? So understand that, okay? So in my letter to the European slave traders, I wrote this. I'm just going to read a portion. Shoot, let me just read all of it. To the European slave trader. What, you think you were off the hook? No, I just chose to check them first because they signed off on the book. But it was you who wrote the sequels, all 400 years in, shaving our heads, selling our kids, and hanging our kin, busting our wombs, and boiling our skin. You surrounded us with water and blinded us with trees, took us by our wrist and shoved the mud up to our knees. You claimed our rights and didn't pay your debts. You took our money, burned our cities until we had nothing left. You changed the history books to make yourselves look brilliant as lights. You actually fooled yourselves, but God will make it right. You toted the Bible and never quit. Never accurately interpreted the scriptures because you never intended to live by it. What? You think you're still off the hook? Forget your history. I'm writing this book. You swore you were statuesque. Yeah, you thought you were the head. But now your own children are ashamed of you, and your legacy is dead. Now, see, when I wrote your own children are ashamed of you, I saw Luigi. I saw white descendants not being down with what their forefathers did. I saw the descendants. And when I was writing this book, yep, I was like, they're not gonna like this. The more and more we go on and on and on, they're not gonna like this. When they get the real history, the one that they're trying to take out of the schools because they're finding out, yeah, they're not gonna like this. And a lot of what happened, it sort of reminds me of the poem that I wrote. Because you had the European slave trader ended up being the elite class, right? Okay. So, and their children were of the elite, children were of the elite, and a lot of those children some of those children back then, right? They were kind of scared. Why do I have to hate them? Why do I have to hate them? And they were raised to hate them. They were raised to be elitist. They were raised to look down on people. They were raised to do these things to people. They were raised to steal, kill, and destroy, just like Satan, right? So thing is, they were raised to be just like their father, the father of lies, okay? And so they became like that, and they became like that until they learned the truth of the matter. Okay, until they learn, okay, this is where all this money is coming from because we had to do what to people? Because we had to do what to people? And how do we have to do this? What? You mean we didn't just work hard for this? No, we had to kill hard for this, see? We had to steal hard for this, see? We had to destroy hard for this, see? We aren't brilliant. Our moral code is actually off, and then it messes them up. They become angry. So yeah, this reminds me of Luigi. Your own children won't even like you and your legacy is dead. Yeah, I wrote this. Today, increasing numbers of white people. Increasing numbers. There were some back then, abolitionists, and they got killed. Okay. But increasing numbers. They're starting to look back and say, that legacy. I don't want that attached to me. And then, There's Luigi. There's Luigi. Of the elite. There's Luigi. Getting out of the police car, shouting, talking about the intelligence of the American people. There's Luigi. If you're going to look at it from one way, then you have to look at it from all different angles, right? You got to jump perspectives. So, jump perspectives. The perspective of the rich man who gets to charge whatever he wants and smile about it while people scrape by. Then you have the poor man, his perspective. He's the most honest of them all. Then you have the children of them both. But now your own children are ashamed of you, and your legacy is dead. Increasing numbers of white children do not want to live like their forefathers. Increasing numbers. I wonder what their grands think now. Hide the history books. But the truth is in poetry.